are joined with a long-awaited guest of the exchange. We're here with Mr. Doug Currie, who is the Vice President of Corporate Services, Strategic Development, and Stakeholder Relations for Holland College. And he has a long track record on Prince Edward Island in terms of being in cabinet, in politics for close to over 10 years, and throughout his many days of coaching and playing hockey. We're happy to have you on today, Doug.
Great to be on, Sam and Blake, and looking forward to having a productive discussion.
So your role, it's a bit of a mouthful. It means I think you have pretty much every role other than the president. So what does that mean, the corporate services, strategic development, stakeholder relations?
Well, right now at the college, we've got obviously Sandy, who you know well, as the president, and certainly very, very fortunate to have the opportunity to work with Sandy. I've worked with Sandy in the past in a number of roles. Right now, we've got a 2 VP structure. So the other VP is Natalie Minton. She oversees all programming and applied research, and a very, very, very talented individual who has a lot of depth here at the college and history around academics and programs. So on the corporate side, basically I oversee everything operational. Obviously, I oversee the finance, IT, anything operational around facilities, infrastructure. I also have the registrar's office, who our executive director is Lorne Hughes. He provides the leadership on the registrar's office. So I have some responsibility on the direction of our international and domestic recruiting. And obviously the strategic development is a passion of mine around the work that around strategy, I guess. I led the strategic plan, and we'll be presenting that. And I'll speak a little about that during the course of the discussion, but that will be presented after board approval in September. Also, the other thing I think it's critical as the only community college in Prince Edward Island that relationships is paramount. And I believe that in any strong, healthy organization, relationships are critical for your own success, but also the success of who I see as key stakeholders, whether it be industry partners, whether it be government, whether it be other educational institutions, whether it be universities or colleges, not only in the region but across the country. So that's sort of a high level.
There's a couple of things in your description that kind of really struck a chord with me, and we had the opportunity to meet and have a chat with the president, Sandy McDonald, I guess in the springtime, just as COVID situation starting to kind of become very real. The summer's passed, and you do have a great team of people. I know you're ready to take on the fall, but 2 areas in your portfolio, the facilities and the registration. And these are pretty crucial elements of a new post-COVID infrastructure. What's happening with students? How are you going to implement courses? How'd you pivot to this COVID situation? And you've got facilities. Are they going to be optimized? Can you utilize all this great infrastructure you have, or are classes can be delivered online? How do you manage the operational budget and the needs of students to kind of continue to grow?
Well, Blake, that's a good question. I mean, obviously, we were rolling along pretty good. We were ready to present at the end of March our strategic plan, and we were going to be doing a very progressive distribution of that in the spring with the president leading that. COVID came, and just like all organizations and institutions and businesses in the private sector, I mean, who would have predicted at the middle of February that we would have been in the situation we're in a month down the road or 2 months down the road? So I guess looking back, one of the things that had to happen very, very quickly when everything went into shutdown, the college had to transition to complete its academic calendar year. And I want to give a shout out and a compliment to our VP, Natalie Minton, and who oversees programs. We had to shift dramatically to basically save the academic calendar year, because technically we were very much a face-to-face, in-class programming, and we had, all our students were getting ready to wrap up their academic calendar year. So we did a significant amount of work to that was our immediate priority, to conclude and wrap up, and it went very well. we knew all along at the college that the online blended format was sort of the vision and the direction that we were moving towards, but we were forced to be on basically steroids to complete that. And it went reasonably well, and a credit to the faculty and the staff that were developing that, because in this time, you've got faculty that would be traditionally teaching a certain way and had to adapt and adjust and needed support, but we also had a cohort that were a little more progressive on the online. So that was the first priority. So from there, once we completed the academic year, our immediate priority was the academic plan. And knowing what we were facing, we had to make some decisions. So that work was led by Natalie and the team, and obviously all of us collectively. We presented our academic plan, and we made a commitment that at the end of May, we were going towards a very, very progressive online platform with a high volume of students and programs. So we rolled out our plan, and that's what we're committed to. Obviously, we track our enrollments both internationally and domestically regularly. So obviously, no surprise, we were down. We had a meeting just recently, and we're relatively pleased with what we're hearing as far as the numbers that are coming. Our online presence has been overwhelmingly positive. So students are choosing the online format, even if they can't get back into the country, particularly on the international side. So lots of positive from that perspective. But I guess one of the things that I'm extremely interested in, Blake, around this whole recruiting piece, obviously, you know, it's a challenge. It's a highly competitive market to recruit college students. But one of the things that we're also focusing on is our retention. We've got some significant challenges once we get our students here, retaining them. So, you know, there's no secret over the last year, we had significant issues with our Bahamian population, which is a cohort of students that have been reasonably strong here at the college. And of course, with Hurricane Dorian, that had a significant impact. So, you know, that's just a reality that's completely out of our control. And the other thing that we have is we've got educational joint ventures, which is our role in working with 12 community colleges in China, which is a student population of well over 2,000. So these are academic markets, but they're also markets that provide revenue for the college. So one of the things that I'm very interested in, and I'll speak to it a little bit at some point in time, is I'm very interested in looking at prospecting new opportunities for the college. And we'll get a chance to talk a little bit about our postgraduate initiatives that we're well into, but we're starting to look at new countries like India, for example. That's a hotbed market. And so, you know, it's, you know, that is sort of an ongoing reality because, you know, we've got about 25% of our population that would be based and termed international. And that tuition drives revenue, that keeps programs healthy, that drives and feeds our operational budget, keeps people employed. So that's kind of sort of a bit of an overview to that question.
You know, it's at 25% of your revenue is foreign students. I would suspect in the coming years, you got to get that over 50%. And I know when we talked to Sandy, it was early in the changeover from COVID. And in fact, 20 years ago, when I was involved in IT, I know the college was very progressive. I think they might have used Moodle at the time, if that's a platform that I'm correctly interpreting, but they were moving coursework online at that time. And my sense from talking to Sandy and a few conversations with you, Doug, the college is very progressive. I love your choice of words. I'm trying to get Sam using that term vernacular, but I think you're well positioned not only to serve the needs of the island students, but I think there's great growth potential if you can move fast. And I know the college can because you're prepared to. Is there an opportunity to continue to grow that international without the physical footprint of a student here in PEI, and it may be a year or more before that can happen? Is this a real growth opportunity for the college?
Well, you know, I think, you know, if you look at the international, you know, if you look at international education in Canada, I think it's about a $6 billion reality to Canada. So provincial governments are becoming very, very dependent on the international markets. If you look at The University of Cape Breton may be an example, which is a little more extreme because they're up over 50% already. But you have schools, you have Dallas, St. Mary's, Acadia. You have, just in the region alone, you've got all of these academic institutions are becoming very dependent on that market. So from our perspective, absolutely. Right now, our focus is not necessarily saying we want to get to 50% or 40%. Right now, our focus is looking at new initiatives. So we can't control the relationship and what's going on between Canada and China. That is a reality of what we're able to do or not do in that country. The other one is the situation in the Bahamas. Dorian had a significant impact on that country, which will have a significant impact on those students being able to attend post-secondary education. So I believe strongly that part of our strategic plan, we have to prospect and we have to nurture and identify new opportunities. And it's not just about saying we're going to start looking at the country of India. Like right now, we've got actual resources on the ground in a city called Hyderabad, where we have staff and basically carrying the Holland College flag. But the other thing, we're promoting our 70+ programs, but the other thing we're doing is we're trying to tap into programming that's new to the college that would be, I would say, is a little more relevant to some of the labor market trends. And so we've identified a couple programs, obviously one project management, one data analytics, and we've signed an agreement. So we're hoping by the spring of 2021, we'll have our first cohort coming into those programs. So that's the type of work that the college needs to do, not only identify new opportunities around academic programming, because it's the first time that we've really done postgraduate diploma programs, and they're very, very popular. So we're moving into that lane, and that will allow us to support a cohort of students both locally here and internationally to sort of help prop up our international numbers to keep, because at the end of the day, those international numbers help provide the operational budget here at the college. It's just part of our reality.
And not only that, like, those are important, like the newer labor market trends, those are going to fuel our workforce and kind of drive the economy around it too. So not only are you finding new ways to generate revenue for the college, but you're also generating revenue for the province and the region and the country.
Yeah, we've got, I mean, obviously part of our approach is, I mean, right now the population from India is probably one of the faster growing international populations here in Prince Edward Island. And right now, I believe under the age of 25 in the country of India, there's approximately about 27 million individuals. So the Canadian post-secondary education markets are extremely popular. They're very, very interested in coming to Canada. So we feel that we have some growth opportunity there. But at the same time, you have to, if you're going to attract quality students, you've got to make sure your programming is strong. It's reputable, it's credible, and so it's all part of the package that we're working with the relationship we have with a company called Canada Education Connect at Halifax. So we've signed an agreement. So we're doing the work that we need to do to be prepared for 2021 spring first intake.
And do you have to adapt your programming? So as you look to enter new markets, and India's obviously it's a good one. It's English. It's a Commonwealth country. Do you have to change any of your programming to meet the needs in local areas like China? You have for sure. Is India pretty similar as far as what you deliver?
Well, I mean, really, that's a great question, Blake. I mean, obviously, this is really the first time that we've really put a strategic focus on. I mean, this one particular city that we're working with, it's Hyderabad. It's got a population of approximately 9 million. That's in the southern part of India. So what we're doing right now is we're starting with one city, and really we've got a storefront and we've got resources over there. And it's really about sort of getting out, talking about not only the postgraduate work, but some of the other programs that we do offer that we provide here. I mean, very similar to the work that's been, we've got under Natalie Minton's shop, they've been very successful with the educational joint ventures. So the college has been in a strong relationship with China and community colleges over there where they use our programs. We send faculty and staff back and forth, but that has been that relationship has been sort of I guess slowed, I guess, because the current relationships between Canada and China right now and everything else that's going on. So that's our focal point right now is hybrid. And you know, it's like anything. If you're going to attract, you have to make sure that your programming is competitive, not only academically but financially, and that you need to quality has to be a priority.
Definitely. So we touched slightly on the strategic plan. And I guess that a lot of what we just talked about was what the strategy for the college is going forward. So throughout the winter, you guys did host kind of strategic development sessions. And obviously COVID might have put a bit of a wrench in that, but you have what is moving forward a strategic plan. Do you want to kind of talk about some key areas of that?
Well, it's you know, I don't know if it was more strategic or good luck or anyways, when I first came into my role, one of the things that I identified was that the strategic plan was a 5-year plan that was over 2 years out. So it was 7 years prior that the last strategic plan is done. So I just felt it was an opportunity for us to sort of step back, obviously with a new president and a new leadership structure. I just felt that it was an opportunity to open up the beginnings of the creation of a strategic plan. So we started that process last September, and Volume 18 was the organization that sort of led the work. So I must say we were you know, quite impressed with the response and the feedback. I mean, we had about 1,700 online survey responses. We had over 1,000 students contribute, 280 faculty and staff, 172 industry submissions, and 515 alumni, and it was across the province. So we were extremely pleased with the initial sort of rollout and the uptake. And one of the things that I committed to is that I wanted to make sure that we had a ground up discussion and conversation about the strategic plan, because I feel very strongly that in order for us and for buy-in for a strategic plan, ownership by everyone involved, whether it be faculty, leadership, industry, was critical. And we were very, very fortunate that we had significant uptake, and we were ready to present that to the board for final approval at the end of March, and then COVID came, and so we paused that. So that document will be coming for final approval in September, early September, and we'll be rolling that back out to all faculty, students, industry, government early into the fall. So very, very pleased. But really, that document has been critical, because that sort of basically continued to keep us focused on what our priorities are. And I can't share too much on the document because it hasn't got board approval, but we basically built our budget around the strategic plan, and we made a commitment to the strategic plan to our budget. For example, I'll use the example of Blake asked about the online renewal. Well, there's required a significant infrastructure investment to respond to that new growth. So that would be one example of a commitment. The other area of commitment would be something that I just shared around prospecting, looking at new programming, looking at new opportunities for recruitment, particularly on the international side. So the relationships we're starting to build now in Hyderabad and India are an example of that. So it's a plan that we were moving on, but it's providing significant stability and direction and guidance for us as we move through COVID and our new reality.
So, you know, Doug, you've had a pretty successful career, you know, coming through hockey, politics, senior executive. You've touched a lot of areas. And this initiative that you're really chairing at Holland College to reinvent the institution, you're going to move from this physical, you know, operation across different locations in PEI into what truly sounds like an international virtual organization. And there's benefits to bring some of those students here over time, and there's an economic impact of their arrival and participation here in the economy. You know, I would see this is just purely an observation. It's a great platform, maybe reconsider politics again. I mean, if you are successful, and I know the team behind you at Holland College, you will be successful. Would you ever consider politics again? You can a little bit of a break. Is it something you're young enough to kind of look at that again in the future? Have you ever contemplated a contribution back to the community again?
Yeah, when I look back at my time in politics, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think I'm confident that I went into politics with the right frame of mind. At that time I had a very, very interesting 20-year career in public education, and so I got exposed to a lot of the issues in my role as school principal at that time at Birchwood. So I went into politics, when I look back, with the right frame of mind, with the right attitude, and I maintained that focus during the course of my 10 years. And I was very fortunate. I had an opportunity to work with portfolios that were very important to me, particularly in education and in healthcare. Those were the two primary ones, and I was able to provide and work with those ministries in making some significant changes in areas of policy, and that were strong policy. But I also had a caucus and a cabinet that was very supportive. And in credit to the Premier at the time, Robert Giz, he was very, very committed to renewal and being innovative and change. And so I provided that opportunity in education and in healthcare to be somewhat of a catalyst. So very, very, very grateful. And one thing I did do during the course of my 10 years, I worked extremely hard, and I really got to understand the role of government and what policy really is and how to shape good policy. But to answer your question, yeah, I would never close a door on a return. Is it going to happen anytime soon? I'm extremely happy and in a very, very good place, just from in my role here at the college and personally. And professionally, but I'm very passionate about Prince Edward Island. I'm very passionate about our community. I feel that it's a very special place, Prince Edward Island. And when I look back at my career, I look back at that I was able to make a contribution along with a lot of other people to make some significant changes and to improve the province. That's highly motivating to me. And that's something that I'm still very, very, very passionate about. So yeah, to answer your question, I would certainly, I would never close the door, but it's all, as you know, Blake, politics is about timing, and you have to be sort of, in the place where you're highly motivated to want to do that. But I feel I left a political career that I made a difference. It wasn't all easy, and politics is not just about cutting ribbons and photo ops. It's a lot of tough work, but I really enjoyed working with the bureaucratic arm of government and really kind of allowing them to do the work and really kind of, in a lot of respects, sort of taking the politics out of the work. And I felt that if you look at the early childhood sector, the work we did, if you look at the work we did at youth mental health and addictions, you look at the innovative work that we did in healthcare, lots of interesting work to sort of lay platforms about future work that governments in the future would be required to build on. So yeah, that would be my response.
Any
party? Good response. We'll leave it there. We're not going to pin you.
Any party in particular you'd run for, or options aren't filled yet?
You know what? I just I look back and I have very, very, one thing I wanted to do when I get in, I come in on my own steam, and I went out when I felt it was time for me to pull away from politics, just because I felt that, I wanted to use both my career journey as an educator and as a Minister of Health and Education. I wanted to have other opportunities in my career to experience. And I've been fortunate. After I left government, I worked with a publishing company in Toronto, worked with some very, very individuals on the corporate side, in the private sector, which gave me another significant eye-opener in respect to the role of the private sector and how they internally manage their day-to-day operations compared to the public sector. So very valuable experience. And then I've been fortunate enough to come back on a full-time basis to Prince Edward Island here to do the work at the college. And I'm really enjoying my work with the President Sandy, and very, very, very pleased getting to work a little closely with our VP, Natalie Mitten, who is a very, very, very strong, talented professional in the post-secondary sector here in the province. And we're very fortunate to have her. So,
you know, on politics, Doug, one of the more challenging portfolios that you held, I think, would be health. I always, would you respond to questions? You were like a Teflon minister. I mean, didn't matter how bad things got, you seem to have a handle on the portfolio. And I don't know if healthcare has ever been under more challenge than it is today for a whole bunch of reasons. There's budgetary, I think there's structural problems within the system itself, within the administration. And we've got COVID. I mean, if you were to provide some guidance on that portfolio, any assessments or observations that you'd make for any function of the system and what's happening today, or do you want to steer clear of that one? That's a tough one.
Yeah, you know what? I watch. You know, I track the media closely. I watch what's going on in government, obviously in my role. You know, I think Premier King and his team have done a very solid, steady job in sort of guiding the province through COVID. I've had the opportunity, actually, you know, interesting enough, I was the health minister during SARS, and the other, I should have, it just eludes me right now, but so I work very closely with Dr. Morrison. And obviously, Dr. Morrison is providing, and the province, the Premier has sort of moved levels of responsibility, which is the appropriate thing to be doing. And Dr. Morrison, with government, is steady. They're communicating effectively. They're making the right decisions. So I've been sort of in that environment a little bit. So I certainly have an appreciation for the day-to-day challenges, but I think they're steadying the course. They've done a good job of educating and raising awareness of what, like, really COVID is a serious pandemic, but it really comes down to every individual who lives in this province. It doesn't matter who you are, to be able to take responsibility and execute on their roles to play the part. And I think it's gone well. I don't think we're necessarily out of the woods yet. But we're certainly heading in the right direction, and it's becoming more of the new norm, whether it be, you know, the protocols in grocery stores or when you're out in the public. And I think people are becoming much more comfortable with it until hopefully a vaccine will be identified and we'll be able to get back on top of this pandemic.
And like you alluded to too, it kind of it forces you to realize and kind of take account of what's actually important, like what's important in your day to day, where are you wasting time or energy, because COVID makes you kind of just realize what's more important and what your priorities are moving forward.
Yeah, no question. And certainly it's allowing all of us to sort of step back a little bit and to rethink who we are, what we are, and where we're going. The other issue I dealt with H1N1 and SARS were the two health issues that were real and that I was responsible to working with Dr. Morrison on. So overall, I think the government has responded. It's tough. It's tough work. Obviously, we've got a significant challenge with our tax revenue significantly down. Obviously, the federal government has their issues. So I think that the economic recovery will be slow, and you know, but it's a global reality. I mean, the federal government who provides transfer payments and equalization to the province is dealing with their challenges from a budgetary perspective. So I think that we all have to do our part, and hopefully we'll continue the economy will start to get back to some level of more normalcy. But I think it's going to be slow. It's not going to turn around anytime too soon.
It's a very good, a very political safe answer. I'm less politically savvy, and obviously I've got my own sense of criticism in different sectors. But change the subject a little bit back to college. So we talked about the strategic plan. What can students, what can the public expect to see for the fall? I mean, presumably your team are ready to reopen. we're, within a month of initiation of schooling. In fact, just looking at the time, this is right when the province is going to announce their plan for school. I'll go on record without knowing what the result was to say there's no question. The province has to resume school for the fall, and not on a partial basis, on some sort of close to full-time, its economy needs that. Well, from the college's perspective, without revealing the strategic plan, what can we expect to see, and what kind of leadership is the college going to sort of demonstrate to the community?
Well, I think Sam alluded to one of the things that we did during the whole shutdown. Obviously, virtually, we worked on a weekly, ongoing basis, sort of from a planning perspective, and I think that was time well spent. Obviously, the first focus was finishing the academic calendar year. Check, we did that. The second one was to make a strong commitment and start building a plan, an academic plan, which we had released by the end of May, which allowed our faculty and students to understand what their potential opportunities were. Obviously, we've been extremely aggressive inside the Office of Recruiting, both on the domestic and the international side, after the academic plan was out, tracking registrations, because registrations are enrollment and enrollment is tuition. So check, we've been working, we implemented our workplace phase, our back to work phase 1. We've rolled out phase 2, and we've been working on those 2 initiatives very closely with the Chief Public Health Office to be ready for late August. So part of that is the physical preparation of the organization. We've got 25 buildings. We've got over 900,000 square feet. So if you walk through our buildings today, you would see your experience would be significantly different than what it was last September, because of the expectations around how we work through the buildings, doors we enter, security. Our classrooms are set up where we're limited. A classroom that would hold a volume of 30 students now would look, there'd be 15 desks. They're separated, respecting the space and the distance. There is an area where teachers are allowed to present their programs and curriculum. They only have so much room, and there's certain policies and structures around how students move in and out of those classrooms. So, our orientation is going to look differently. It'll be a virtual orientation. So we feel that we are very well prepared. Both our operational plan has been submitted or almost submitted and will be finalized by the Chief Public Health Office for approval before we can open our doors. We feel comfortable that we're good. The second thing we're working on now is students outside the Atlantic bubble. Right now, we've got approximately 120 to 140 students that are looking to return to Holland College outside the bubble. So we're working very closely with the province, and I must add, the province has done a very good job sort of making sure that we get those students back in, both to the college and to the university, by looking at the operational quarantine plans that we are developing, but they're providing the hotels and the meals and the security, and we'll have some sort of role and responsibility to monitor those halls to make sure students who are self-quarantining meeting their responsibilities during the 14 days. So that's well underway. But we're also looking at, with the uptake on the online, we're anticipating if things go as planned, or we're hoping that if that cohort of students that are online right now, which is equivalent to approximately 900, they'll be returning to Charlottetown and the college in January. So we'll be looking at supporting them through protocols that have been designed and designated by the Chief Public Health Office, what we're anticipating. So we've worked, and the team here at the college has done a tremendous amount of work and have worked hard. So I think we're very well positioned in a time of, in an unprecedented time, and a time of unpredictability as well.
It's no question that the college is being progressive in their ways, and it's on the ball with everything, whether it's policy changes or any structural changes moving forward. I'm a little disappointed that I'm assuming orientation day will be a little different. I usually get the free I just go down for free pizza, but I'm assuming that won't happen this year. So I'll have to buy my own lunch that day.
Well, as long as we'll be doing something. I mean, we put some resources in to make sure. I mean, basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to make, I mean, we want to welcome our returning students, obviously, but our first year students, I mean, obviously it was extremely disappointing, most importantly, for our students who didn't get to experience their graduation last year, which was a reality in all post-secondary institutions and in the public education system. So these unprecedented times require organization to provide innovative, strong leadership, and you got to be bold and brave to take the hill. And so we've been working hard. We've got a good cohort of people here at the college. We've got a good team. Everyone is clearly understands their roles and responsibility, but we clearly, from Sandy down through Natalie and myself, we have a plan, we've got a vision, and we know where we're going. We're excited about the strategic plan, and we'll work very closely with the Chief Public Health Office to support them, and who are under significant pressure. I mean, they're dealing on a regular basis with us, but we're just one sector in a number of sectors that they're responding to. So we want to do our part, and we want to help, and we want to be successful.
There's no question. Like you said, you have to be bold and brave to take the hill, and you're proving that you're bold and brave, and the whole team at the college is. But I think
we're lucky. I mean, it's just the culture here at the college is positive. I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's about everything we do in all our planning and our strategic plan. It's about the student experience, and along with the student experience, it's about our faculty and staff, but providing them with the resources and the training as we adapt and shift gears from sort of a traditional face-to-face model to a more online blended. There's investment in that. There's new infrastructure from a technology perspective. There's training responsibilities. There's good communication. So this strategic plan, which has a strong footprint of students and faculty, is very much about what we heard from them moving forward. So this will be the other thing that's really important in the strategic plan, which was as equally as important, Blake, you'll like this, is our accountability structures and oversight on the plan. Like, it's one thing that I didn't want a strategic plan that was going to be presented and then sort of park itself on the shelf. So we will be creating an Office of Corporate Performance, basically inside our organization, which will have the opportunity to monitor the key performance indicators. We're doing some work on indicators and health indicators to look and evaluate programs. So that corporate performance will provide oversight and provide advice to us as a leadership team. So accountability and sort of that day-to-day, weekly, monthly, yearly evaluation of how we're performing to what our strategic objectives are is really, really important.
You know, when you look at the purpose of education, it's probably to train a workforce and to support business. And I feel really confident. Really, since the inception under Don Glendenning, the purpose of the college is really to support the backbone of the economy and the labor market. And I'm delighted to hear that there's a plan in place to get the labor force committed and connected and educated to serve the business community and to serve themselves. So I think this is great. Really, really pleased to have the chance to chat a little bit about what's happened since we chatted with Dr. Sandy McDonald to what the program is going to look like this fall. And, you know, I think, Sam, you're looking forward to doing freshman week again at Holland College.
Yeah, my sixth year in a row.
You're always welcome, Sam. And you can take some pizza back to the office for Blake.
All right. My little sister's starting Holland College in the fall, so maybe she can snag him.
Awesome. So, yeah, it's interesting times. And, you know, the thing that really motivates me, whether it was in the public education system or my time in politics, is I really get highly motivated by working collectively and thinking innovatively and change. And interesting, Blake, you talk about industry. One of the things that came out, I mean, we met with 40 plus industry leaders, both Natalie and Sandy and myself. And really the purpose for that was to reconnect about who we are, what we are, and introduce ourselves. But it was very clear from industry that they valued the conversations, they wanted to know what was going to college. We were very interested in what they were doing, whether it be in bioscience or in construction technology or whatever area of industry that we'd be aligned with. So one of the things that come out loud and clear is the challenge for labor market is that, you know, it's employment, right? It's being able to upgrade and train their workforce, because they're not in the position to be sending them back for a years of education or 2 years of education and additional training. So that's why they're very, very intrigued and very supportive of the online platform. So we're currently doing some initiatives right now where we have various tradespeople coming in or doing some online training and modules. So we're doing a little bit of it now. It's just that we're going to be escalating that, and that's of huge value to industry leaders, that they can keep their labor force and have them trained while keeping them working in their current jobs. So makes sense, right?
It's perfect alignment. It's exactly what the college should be doing, and the fact that you're continuing to do that to support the economy is really important to the business community. So
yeah, it's exciting times. I'm very interested in what's going on, and we'll hopefully in the fall, once the school year starts, very interested in looking at opening conversations up and with the Ministry of Education and the public school branch around what's currently going on with trades training and trades awareness in the public system. I've been tracking what's going on in Alberta and BC. Those would be, particularly BC is doing some really innovative, cool things in the public school system around trades and raising awareness at an earlier age around raising the attention of what careers are available in trades, and to broaden the base. And I mean, I see that for the college as a win-win, because we're the only community college here in Prince Edward Island that provides trades training. And yeah, so there's some exciting things that we're starting to think about. Obviously, the priority was the strategic plan and then sort of working through COVID, but we're well positioned heading into the fall, and we're excited about presenting the strategic plan and having Dr. McDonald sharing that with key industry leaders, government, and going from there.
Well, we're excited to see what happens too, and well, that's probably a good place to end for today. We appreciate your time, Mr. Doug Currie, once again, and I'm sure we'll continue this conversation maybe over beer next time.
Well, yeah, thank you very much. And you know what, I appreciate the opportunity to share. I think it's important. You know, it's all about relationships and telling the story of Holland College, and we need to be good at it, because we are very reliant on industry, government, community, and that's who we are. So I want to thank both you and Sam and Blake for the opportunity to share, and hopefully it gives you some more rounded insight about what we're doing and where we're going.
Definitely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you, Doug.
Chat soon. Thanks. Bye.